So, what is the common denominator to improving our productivity, managing our stress better, communicating more powerfully, and pretty much any other thing you'd like to improve in your performance that you'd like to? The common denominator, I think, is state management, i.e. managing our body-mind state, the state of our biology, the state of our thoughts, the state of our attention. Our state, and unpacking each of these things that we'd like to improve, really helps us understand the mechanics of what goes into creating like optimal performance across these things. So let's kind of get into some of the specifics there, right? So if I want to improve my productivity, there's a number of states that we can talk about, but I think a key state as part of that is our ability to have relaxed attention. If I can relax myself and yet keep my attention on one thing, it's going to have me have sustainable attention. The relaxation helps create sustain. It's going to help me drop into being absorbed into whatever I'm paying attention to, which is then what creates flow states. So if I'm doing some kind of creative work, writing something I want to share with colleagues, or writing a document or training manual or whatever it might be, by having this sustained, relaxed attention, I'll start to kind of be absorbed into the flow of doing the activity, which creates this kind of beautiful experience where we lose track of time and we just get into the joy of doing the creating itself. And it's these states of deep work that really lets us create an amazing amount in a short amount of time. So that's one example. Managing stress. Well, I think relaxed attention actually is an important part of managing stress. But another really, really important part of managing stress is recovery. All right, so stress is really a natural part of being an engaged individual. So I don't think we should ever get rid of stress. There's lots of positives to stress. There's also the stresses of collaborating with people and the inevitable conflict that kind of comes up in that collaborative, creative process. So the stress is, in a way, is fine. Right? For sure, there's ways that we can kind of be in that state of friction in whatever form it is, in a way that helps us manage that better. But recovery lets us actually really kind of come back to being able to engage in those situations again. And really the basis of recovery is our ability to super relax ourselves, to really down regulate, to relax our whole bodies, to slow ourselves down. And this was something that's been so important for me to learn over the years. I wasn't very good at, let's say, putting the brakes on. I was like slowing myself down, and I would find that I would be go, doing, and I would like start to kind of spin out of control, and I would burn out. It might be like little mini burnouts, and sometimes I've had some quite big burnouts. And it's through learning how to realize that I'm starting to hit that point where I'm not gonna be able to sustain this performance, and slow down and recognize that earlier, and recognize that if I have smaller cycles of that, rather than kind of going super fast for extended periods, going a little bit fast and then doing some recovery, and going a little bit fast and doing some recovery, that's really helped me have a much more enjoyable and productive life. There's a lot more we can get into that. And of course, I think sleep is a really essential part of that, and knowing how to prepare ourselves mentally and physiologically for sleep is a really essential part of the recovery process. But both of these examples, relaxation is a really, really key element of it. So I think an essential part of state management is our ability to speed ourselves up and slow ourselves down. And what's really interesting here is that these things aren't completely mutually exclusive. I can, like a relaxed form of attention, I'm slow, I can have a a slower breathing pattern and feel relaxed in my body, but still have quite fast frequencies kind of active in my brain where I'm still able to kind of track and connect ideas and think about things and so on. So when we get into the sophisticated territory of state management, we've got kind of different aspects of ourselves that we can regulate. I can regulate my brain, and I can regulate my body and different parts of my body. So relaxed attention and recovery from stress, I'm probably going to relax my head a whole lot more in the stress recovery version of that, and slow myself down overall a lot more, so that I can just get into a really kind of peripheral state where I can just like really let everything relax and my body go into full kind of rejuvenation mode. Now, the third example I mentioned, powerful communication, is a bit of a different example. Now, where state management, I think, comes into powerful communication is particularly non-verbal communication. Most people, when they think about non-verbal communication, they think about body language, right? What am I doing with my hands, and also tone, like what am I doing with the tone of my voice, and how is that changing the impact of what I'm communicating, so I can slow down like I just did and have a different impact in my communication. And I think that is a really essential, obviously, part of non-verbal communication. But the more subtle, and I would argue kind of more potent aspect of non-verbal communication is how are we communicating a state as part of our communication. If I'm wanting to have an impact in my communication, I want to be connected to the felt intent of the thing that I'm communicating. You know, a lot of this really comes down to why do I care about what I'm communicating, and why do the people that I'm communicating to care about it, and how do I connect into that sense of care, you know, and this has me connecting into my heart in a different way, you know, where I feel that sense of care, you know, this topic I care about, you know, so hopefully you're experiencing some of my care as I'm sharing this with you, and also in the belly, that sense of like, sense of kind of potency, power. Like if my voice is dropped down to my belly, I have a different sense of being able to project my voice, a different sense of gravitas behind what I'm saying. And so learning how to access these different states inside of myself so that my communication is connected into that state, it means that state is transmitted. There's a transmission, right? And that transmission is kind of a quality that then the people who are receiving my communication are going to start to feel as well. And that then translates to kind of my believability, you know, and it translates into a felt impact of like, oh, I should listen to this person, or this person has something important to say, or I can feel the importance here behind what they're saying, and I'm going to listen more carefully saying it. So that's probably enough. So these, I think, are three really interesting examples, and I could unpack state examples of pretty much anything that you could throw at me, and I invite you to do so if you would like me to have a go at exploring the states of different aspects of performing as people who want to achieve and lead in the world. The last thing I want to say is that what's really exciting to me here is that we can train all this stuff. You know, so state training lets us be able to have the versatility in the states that we can access and express in ourselves to perform in lots of different ways. And of course, there's a lot of different states that we can train. So you can take time to train different states. So, you know, I want to go through a period, let's say, of training my kind of relaxed attention. This is something I'm playing with at the moment. Or I might decide to improve my sleep and train states that are going to help me sleep better. Or I might train my embodied communication skills. What's really awesome though is it's really easy once you've done a little bit of training to start to integrate this type of practice just into what you're doing, you know. And once you start to kind of be more aware of it, you can just keep that kind of awareness in the background and learn kind of the hacks that are going to have you be able to be kind of integrating that training into what you're doing. And those hacks really are to do with knowing what we do with our biology, what we do with our bodies, what we do with our attention, what we do with our thinking. It's I think it's super exciting to start to understand what those particular hacks are. And over time, I'm going to start sharing more of these particular state hacks that'll let us train these states of high performance. Please ask questions if you have them, post comments. Love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Bye.